Well, I suppose it's going to be another darkened log on September 9th, 2025 for Monday, and it's 12:14 in the morning. I am your Trekkie. We were John C. Roseman, California. Live long and prosper, and that sort of stuff. I may do the light of the ones a little bit later, but tonight is just dealing with another night with the dog finally settling down and I can try sleeping again. It isn't easy being a caregiver to a dog, which I thought would be comparable to dealing with an elderly lady. Not so much, at least an elderly lady can hear you and tell you what's going on. When you're dealing with an elderly dog, it's a different thing altogether. But on a day like this, it's supposed to be celebrated as Star Trek Day because this was 59 years ago on this date that Gene Roddenberry's creation was premiered on black and white before they actually had the color installed. And NBC was showing the shows. For the first time, it was called The Cage. Of course, there was another episode saying where no man's gone before. And they were showing Jeffrey Hunter as the Captain Horatio Hornblower type, daring the violent seas of space. And I was so out there, they couldn't figure the thing out. They just liked Nimoy better because he was an alien. So recast it, and we had Shatner coming on. William Shatner. To partner up was Leonard Nimoy, and then we had DeForest Kelly. Now we got the trio. Of course, we had to have a pilot, which was George Takei to fly the ship. Navigating, which was Walter Koenig. And for communications, we had Michelle Nicole. And then for engineering, we had James Doohan as Chief Engineer Montgomery Scott. And Michelle Nicole played Nyota Uhura. Walter Koenig played Pavel Chekhov. And George Takei played Hiroku Sulu. Sulu's still around, so is Chekhov and Captain Kirk, but the rest of the gang passed away throughout the years. But we celebrate this time for a television series that made a mark on human history. It wasn't the only show that made marks on human history. We also had Doctor Who and the British Kingdoms. And we also had other sci-fi shows that came out. But really, Star Trek made its mark out there. And as fans celebrate it, what Gene Roddenberry was trying to show us. Hopefully a world created that showed us that we can live with diversity, equity, inclusiveness. We can be woke and liberal. We can accept the world as is, challenge preconceptions left and right. And yes, battle the forces of evil whenever necessary, but it's usually misunderstandings, and empires do need to be understood. We created a United Federation of Planets to be a governing body, similar to the United Nations. And all of this from a guy's mind who is creating it all that we celebrate today. Let us hope we can actually, one day in human history, try to create something like that. Instead of a hell-bent galactic empire ready to rule hell and heaven because on the whims of ego. Happy Star Trek days, guys. Live long and prosper.